I'll tell you another missionary story because it was kind of funny. It was more, and it was very early in my mission, probably a month or two into it, maybe three. Anyway, my companion's name was Elder Miller. No companion could have been loved any more than Elder Miller was. I just thought the world of that man. He was a big old Stratford athletic and just a worker. I couldn't have started off a mission better than to have had him. Anyway, when in those days the church didn't buy cars, they didn't have cars for you to drive. You had to provide your own. So when you became a supervising elder, they didn't have district leaders in those days. They were supervising elders, and they didn't have zone leaders. It was a combination of those two, and it's called a supervising elder. And Elder Miller had been made a supervising elder, so I wrote home and told his parents that he was a supervising elder and he needed a car. And so they sent him $250, and we bought an old Chevrolet. It ran good, but it had holes in the floorboard. And if it was raining and puddled, well, you had to really watch out and put something down there so that it didn't spray up on you. Well, it was winter time, and we were working, of course, and he had never allowed me to drive up to that point. And finally he said, well, it's your turn. Your turn to drive. I said, are you kidding? He said, no. Go ahead. You get in the driver's seat and drive. And so we got in, and I knew from experience that that car needed a lot of help. So we parked on a hill, and as we went down the hill, we popped the clutch and get the motor turning, and it would start up that way. And then when we got out in the place where we were going to work, we had to park on a hill if we possibly could. If we couldn't, you just had to have a hill. And so we were up on a hill there from the main road, and we just drive down from where the car was parked and pop the clutch a couple of times, and it would start and go, and then we'd go out to our place of work. And so it was my turn. I was in there, and I popped the clutch once, and it started up a little bit, and then it died, and I popped it again, and it started. But when we got down to the road, it wasn't going good enough for me to dare stop. So I pulled out on the road. Hold it just a minute. I've got to think this through. I thought I already had it thought through. Let that go. Oh, I'm sorry. At the top of the hill, because it was a kind of an easy hill, the companion would push. And so he was pushing, and I popped the clutch the first time, and it seemed to start, but it died. So he kept pushing, and as we got near the bottom, I popped it again, and it started. And but I did not dare stop, or we'd be dead. So I pulled out on the road, and as I looked down the road, it was just a little ways to an intersection. And it was early in the morning. There was no traffic on it or anything. And so I just pulled out there, and when I got to the intersection, I just cramped the wheel to the left and gave it a little gas, and we did a nice donut and headed back. But as I looked back there, I could see no Elder Miller. He was nowhere to be found. So I stopped the car. By then it was running well. And I thought, where is Elder Miller? There was no place to hide. And pretty soon I saw this abominable snowman come up to the left of me. And I looked up, and it had Elder Miller's face in it. And I rolled down the window, and I said, what happened? He says, well, when you got to the bottom of the hill, I thought you were going to stop, and you took off, and I slipped, and my arm went down into the bumper, and you drugged me the whole way, the donut and all. And so his suit was no good now because it's just drugged, just really no good. It wasn't almost no good before he took the trip, but then he only had a month to go, and he was going home. So he wouldn't buy a new suit, but he just, that dragging him all that way and doing the donut with him hanging on the back, finished his suit off. So we went back up to the apartment, and he went up into the attic, which I didn't even know we had, and he came down with a white suit. I said, Elder, that suit's white. He said, yeah, I know. I said, well, how did you end up with a white suit? He said, well, the instructions that came to me were that we should have light suits. And I thought they meant white, because this is as light as you can get. And so he says, when I got in the mission field and found out that I'd made a bad mistake, why, I just stored it. Oh, he was a great elder. He just didn't have very good taste.